What's up guys? It's your friendly neighborhood taxman bringing you another tax deduction video. Today I'm talking to all the teachers out there. Teacher tax deductions can have a significant benefit on your annual tax return. So you want to stick around to see what the ATO allows you to claim. Before you're diving into the deductions, let's take a quick look at what criteria you need to meet to claim these teacher tax deductions. According to the ATO, to claim a teacher tax deduction for work-related expenses, you must have spent the money yourself and weren't reimbursed for the costs. This means you can't claim a deduction if your employer paid you back for the money that you have spent. The second requirement is that the expenses must relate directly to earning an income, so in other words, you spent the money on something for work. And lastly, you must keep all the records to prove that you've incurred expenses you're claiming. If your total claims add up to more than $300, you must keep written evidence, such as receipts. Your written evidence must show you have incurred the full amount of your claim. If the total amount you are claiming is $300 or less, you don't need to keep the receipts, but you must be able to show how you worked out those claims in the first place. Written evidence can be a document from the supplier of the good or service, showing the supplier's name, the amount of the expense, the nature of the good or service. If this is not shown, you can write this on a document before you lodge your income tax return, the date you incurred the expense, and the date of the document. These documents can be written or in electronic format. So if you lose the receipt, you could have your bank statements or an email receipt, but it depends on the ATO when they look into it. You're only allowed to claim the work-related portion of the expenses. So this means that you can't claim any expenses related to your personal use. Right, so now that we've covered the ATO requirements, what can you actually claim? Let's start with car and traveling expenses. As a teacher, you're entitled to claim the travel costs you incur while performing your duties. The expenses incurred from traveling between your home and school are generally excluded. But there are certain circumstances where you may be able to claim this tax deduction, such as when you're transporting heavy or bulky items that you require for work, because they can't securely store this at the school. For example, a music teacher might have to transport a cello to and from work. You can also claim a deduction when you're using your car to transport school children to a sporting event or a school excursion. For example, Luke is a swimming coach who often has to transport his students to the swimming events that don't take place at the local swimming pool. Generally, the parents will drop their children off with Luke at the local swimming pool, and then he will transport them to and from the swimming event that is taking place elsewhere. So Luke can claim a tax deduction for transporting his students to the sporting event. Another instance where you can claim a teacher tax deduction for travel expenses includes traveling between different jobs on the same day. Take Joanne's situation for example. Joanne is a maths teacher at her local high school. After school, she finishes at around 2 p.m. Joanne travels home for lunch and then meets with different students at their homes to provide after-school maths tutoring. Generally, she tutors 2 students per afternoon, so she'll have to travel from one student's home to the next one before traveling back home. Joanne can't claim a tax deduction for the expenses incurred traveling from the high school to her home, but she can claim a teacher tax deduction for travel expenses incurred from traveling between her students' homes for the after-school tutoring. You can also claim a teacher tax deduction if you drive to and from a different workplace for the same employer on the same day. For example, you may teach at one school and then have to mark exam scripts at another school premises. The next tax deductible expense is your home office expenses. A lot of the time, teachers end up doing their classroom prep and marking at home. And with 2020 being a year of many changes due to the worldwide coronavirus pandemic, many teachers have had to adapt to online teaching from their home. For many, working from home has become the new norm. The upside of working from home is that you may qualify to claim teacher tax deductions for some of the expenses you've incurred at your home office. You can claim a percentage of the running costs of your home office if you have to work from home, including electricity for heating and cooling, lighting costs, depreciation of your home office equipment, repairs to your home office, furniture and fittings, work-related internet, and work-related phone calls. The third tax deduction that you can claim is self-education expenses. If you attend any courses further training or seminars specifically related to your current job, you may qualify for a tax deduction. According to the ATO, for self-education to relate to your current line of work, you must either maintain or improve the skills you are required to perform on your everyday employment duties, and you could result in an increase in your income. These self-education expenses could be course fees, travel expenses if there is a seminar interstate, books, and equipment. The ATO distinguishes between 5 categories of self-education expenses. Category A would be things like tuition fees, stationery, student union fees, public transport fares, car expenses, and running expenses for your home study room. Category B includes depreciation deductions on your home study furniture such as a desk or a computer, and the car you're claiming a deduction for in Category A. Category C would be if you had to repair your laptop to use for the self-education course or seminar. If you calculate your car expenses using the cents per kilometer method instead of the logbook method, they will fall directly in Category D. Category E would be expenses where you've incurred but you can't use a deduction such as a taxable scholarship. One thing you must remember is if you only incur Category A expenses, then the first $250 spent on the self-education expenses aren't tax deductible. However, if you incur Category E expenses, you can use them to offset the $250 reduction. Let's look at an example to demonstrate this. Mary attends a short course to improve her knowledge of working with children with special needs. Because it's a short course, she only incurs a few Category A expenses, including tuition fees that amounts to $2,670, stationery totaling to $80, and $302 for public transport. Mary can claim a tax deduction for the amount of $2,802 because she will add all her expenses and then minus the first $250 that she can't claim for. The next expense you can claim is clothing and laundry expenses. If your workplace requires you to wear clothing distinctively to their organization, you can claim a teacher tax deduction for buying or repairing and cleaning those work-related clothing. Remember, if your employer buys the clothing for you or reimburses you for your purchase, you can't claim a teacher tax deduction for the uniform expenses. If your employer doesn't reimburse you or if you aren't allocated a uniform, then you can claim a teacher tax deduction for compulsory uniforms. Distinctive clothing items such as a jumper or tops that have the organization's logo printed on them, and protective clothing such as a hat or sunglasses if you're on a lunchtime playground duty, these are deductible. Lastly, there are a few common expenses you can also claim, such as the cost of buying teaching aids or tools required to help you perform your teaching duties, such as textbooks with practice examples, first aid training and union fees and professional association fees, and expenses incurred on school trips, excursions, or camps. We've covered what you can claim, but it's also important to take note of what you can't claim. The ATO doesn't allow teachers to claim any costs incurred while traveling between your home and the school or any other workplaces. You can't claim occupancy expenses like your rent or mortgage expenses if you're working from home. And if you don't have a uniform, you can't claim laundry expenses for cleaning, your general clothing, and things like gym memberships are off the table, even if you're a physical education teacher. Lastly, you won't be able to claim any costs related to attending to staff dinners or any other social school functions. So there you have it, a list of all the expenses you can claim and a list of expenses you can't. Remember to always keep your evidence. You can't claim any of the listed expenses as teacher tax deductions without the proof. Make sure you always keep receipts, invoices, and any other documents relating to any expenses incurred that directly relate to earning that income. So, if you're feeling unsure about an expense and you want to claim it, drop a comment below. Maybe I can answer it for you. Otherwise, see you guys next time. Bye!